Welcome back to our show, The Relationship Toolbox, brought to you by 3 professional mediators. I am Tom Chamberlain, a consular mediator, and with me is Tracy Sherrier, a professional mediator, and Marcia Castle, also a professional mediator. This is a show dealing with the skills needed for positive relationships. As I was talking about this, I began to think maybe we should also point out that in addition to having relationships with people we really want to be close with, we also have times when we have to relate to people in a relationship where we really don't care that much about the relationship, but we do have to work with them, such as a worker in our place of work, or if we are co-parenting and we have the task of raising a child together. These skills become critical when we have a child involved. If we do not do these well, we can actually cause harm for that child. In a lighter note, these skills can also be used in social situations. For example, at a party or dating, those persons who are good at communicating, they will find that they can engage people and they are more appealing to people. So there's a purpose for this show for all of us in viewing. In our last show, we brought to you the concept of point of view, and we're going to be reviewing that in a minute so we can introduce that to those of you who may not have seen it last time. Today, however, we're going to concentrate on some specific skills in how do we respond to someone who is perhaps bringing a point of view to us that we don't particularly care about. So in that case, we're going to be discussing the skill of listening, also the skill of being curious, restating, reframing, and validating. So why don't we start, Marcia, with sort of a quick review of what is this point of view stuff?
Well, it's kind of the foundation of everything. You can get to respecting a point of view through these skills, but if you can start off entertaining and acknowledging and respecting that somebody might have a different point of view than you do, it's the place where you can start having solutions. It doesn't mean that you need to agree with it. It doesn't mean that you endorse it. It just means that you're willing to entertain that maybe somebody has organized their thinking or seen something from a different point of view. We have a graphic showing through an optical illusion that people can quite legitimately have a different point of view depending on their placement, literally their location in viewing something, or kind of metaphorically where they're approaching something. When we have clients come in to sit with us as we're trying to tease things out, we'll listen to an intake from one of the parties and we'll hear this story and then think, oh wow. And then we hear from the other person and we think, oh my goodness, how can these two things both be true? But they're very true to the people that are involved. And as a third party, it's easy to see both points of view. But when you're a party in the conflict, it's much harder. But if you can start from that place, then you can use these other skills to really learn and to move towards coming to some kind of solution to your problems. The next thing, once you are willing to entertain and respect another point of view, would be good listening. And Tracy, I think you're going to talk to us about good listening skills.
Mm-hmm. So if you think about good listening skills, what does that involve? It involves your body language, right? You want to be kind of paying attention. If you're standing kind of like this and you're, kind of looking the other way and you're not making eye contact, those are kind of things that might involve poor listening skills. But if you're open and you make eye contact with the person across from you and you're paying attention to what they're saying, that involves better listening skills. The other thing you want to do is if you want to ask questions, right? And you want to allow time for someone to answer. I think we've all been in situations where someone is saying to us, well, how was your day today? I had the worst day ever. So there's not really that pause to allow a person to answer the question. And that pause is important. It makes someone know that you're actually listening to them. And to not interrupt. Right? So if you're telling a story or if you're speaking, you don't want to be interrupted and you don't want to interrupt the other person when they're telling a story. So those are all some good listening skills that we're going to practice a little bit here today and go from there.
Okay, so why don't we do a role play, which would begin to illustrate some of this that you're talking about in the good listening. Here's the situation. I am going to play Tracy's husband, and she obviously is my wife, and I've done something unknown to her. I want to surprise her with a trip to New York City. We're going to go out and go to restaurants, go to a show and so forth, but she doesn't know anything about this. I'm all excited about this, so I want to get her attention to start with presenting this idea to her. Watch what happens when she gives me lousy listening skills. Tracy.
Hey, Tom.
Gee, yeah,
How you doing?
I got something I want to share with you.
Good, yeah. Okay, hang on 1 second.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
okay. Hey, Marcia, did you look?
Tracy?
God?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Tom, I'm sorry, what is it? What is it?
By now, I've kind of lost the enthusiasm for wanting to share this. Already, I'm fighting my own feelings rather than the surprise that I would hope that it would show for Tracy. So let's go back now and this time show good listening. Tracy,
Yeah.
I got something, a surprise for you.
What?
You know how you've talked about going to New York City?
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
We're going.
No
We're
kidding.
going, yes.
We're going?
Yes.
What is this?
This is a agenda of our trip and everything.
Great.
So I've got everything planned. It's all set to go.
Okay, great.
Now look at the difference. When Tracy has responded with good listening, already we're engaging each other. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's go on to another skill, which is the skill of being curious. Now we're going to do kind of a silly example here to make it easier to understand this, and then we're going to apply it to that role play again. So let's suppose that I bought this thing in the store. I was so impressed with it. I mean, I can really use it in my garden. Isn't this cool? Take a look at that. Isn't that cool?
What is it?
Watch how they use curiosity to ask questions and try to
this come
figure
out?
out what it is.
What store did you buy this at?
What at the hardware store?
The hardware
Oh,
store.
it opens up. Do we put something in it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
what
uh-huh.
goes in it?
Well, actually, when I go to, in the garden and everything, and sometimes the lawn is wet,
Yeah.
and I have the extension cords, when I'm running equipment,
Yeah.
he takes the extension cords and puts them in there.
Oh, I
Isn't that
see.
cool?
I see. So
So if it's
kind of
not
protects
wet.
it. Okay.
Yes.
All
Right. Oh, so you just slide them in.
Who knew? Who
That's
knew?
great.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Okay.
awesome.
That's very cool.
So this is just a simple example of curiosity. It's much harder in reality when you are listening to someone give you a point of view that is something you really don't want to hear. And yet you need to be curious to allow that person to go on and expand upon that. So when I am being curious, I'm keeping in my mind certain questions. And there are 3 of them that are important. What is it that my partner is trying to get me to understand? What factors are contributing to my partner seeing the situation in that way? And what particular emotions does my partner link to that point of view? So I'm not only listening, I am actually digesting what the other person is saying. So let's return to our role play situation. We'll get rid of this. And now I'm going to present again this. Now, keep in mind that Tracy is being surprised by this, so she may not have the same feelings about this trip suddenly being imposed on her as I have. So watch what happens when she stays in the curious mode. Tracy, I got this trip, big surprise. I know you really wanted to go and everything, so we're going to New York.
To New York?
Yes.
To the city?
Yes.
Just okay. Just us?
Yes. Just
Okay.
us. Yeah.
And no kids.
No kids. Isn't
No
that great?
kids.
Yeah. No
okay.
kids.
And so, okay. How did that come about? Oh,
Oh, I know
Okay.
you've talked about it. You
Yeah.
used to say, boy, if you could only go sometime, get away and everything. And I thought, this is the chance.
Wow.
Now we can do it.
okay. So I'm a little nervous, but you're not nervous?
Not really. I
No?
think we'll just have a lot of fun.
You think it'll be good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I might need a few minutes with that, but but
Okay.
you think it's a really good idea and you think
yeah.
we'll have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. And are we going to do like New York City things? Like
Oh
a
yeah,
show? And-
movie, dinner, everything.
Okay. 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 Yeah. And so you did this, you thought of this all on your own.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that a surprise?
Okay. Yeah, I am surprised. It's good. It's good. Yeah. Are you going to be okay if I ask you questions about it along the way? Because
Sure.
I
Oh,
am
yeah.
a little nervous. And,
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so Tracy is showing curiosity here, no particular judgment or anything in this, which allows me to, again, explain a little bit more about how I came to do this and get her an understanding of where I'm coming from. This is important as we begin to relate and maybe hear a different point of view about Tracy's real response to this, what is going on in her head. So the next thing that we want to discuss, Marcia, is restating.
Okay. So restating, no matter how you're feeling about this information that's coming to you as part of listening, is just to kind of check in and make sure that you understand what's going on. And so you're taking in the information and saying, so what I think I hear you saying is that in this instance, like, you've gone ahead and bought some tickets and planned a trip for us. And so from your point of view, you're thinking that this is an exciting, wonderful thing. It doesn't mean that you also are excited. And then you might say, okay, is there more information that I need to know? Basically, you want to check in and see if what you understand to be the facts are in fact the facts. Because sometimes we only take in the information that we want to hear or just enough to kind of refuse or rebut. So you're saying, is this what I understand? So from your point of view, this is what's going on, and is there something more that I don't know that you need to tell me before you react? So,
Okay.
Go back.
All right, so,
Restating?
yes, let's do some restating here. So in this case, Tracy is going to begin to demonstrate what Marcia just described. Yes, it's going to be so much fun. We can do all kinds of things here. I'm so excited about being able to do this for you.
Okay. So you're saying you're really excited.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's how you feel about it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
And
really
so
worked hard to get all the arrangements made
You
and
did.
everything and to save the money for it.
You did? So this all came out of that extra money is this why you were working so hard?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this came out of you worked really hard for this and it means a lot to you.
Right.
It does, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there we have Tracy beginning to restate what is going on for her, and all she's doing basically is reflecting back on what is I'm stating to her. So that draws me in to begin to talk with her some more about this type of thing. So now we've pulled another skill out of our toolbox here, and this one is reframing. Now in reframing, sometimes the person expressing a point of view is not being very polite, very respectful, and what is happening is they may be having some strong feelings they're dealing with, and they go on the attack. So they begin to attack the person who's expressing this point of view, and then how do you respond to that in a way that doesn't escalate this conflict even further? This is very difficult to do, but the way we're going to demonstrate this is, I guess, that we'll use the same situation, and I will actually, because I'm beginning to sense as Tracy's husband that she isn't responding to this in quite the way I had anticipated. Something just isn't quite right, and even though I can't put my finger on it, I can sense it. And that's creating feelings within me of hurt, disappointment, and I want to express this, but not being good at expressing it, I do it in a form of an attack. And it might sound something like this. Oh, Tracy, no matter what I do, it never pleases you.
And so if I'm going to reframe that and not feed into that attack to make it escalate into an argument, I might say something like, so you wish that I would show more enthusiasm and appreciation for what you're doing.
Right.
Okay.
So she has brought the attack, she's taken all the venom out of the attack, and she has put it into a wording that's fairly neutral, and we can begin to respond to that now.
Can I re-emphasize that that is not an easy thing to do? When you're feeling emotional and you're
Yes.
feeling angry or hurt or attacked, that is not an easy place to go.
This is probably one of the most difficult tasks in or skills in our toolbox. Here's another attack. Oh, Tracy, I can tell if it's not your idea, then you're not interested.
So if I'm going to reframe that and keep calm and not escalate, I would say something along the lines of, so you want me to be as excited about your ideas as I would be about my own ideas.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and one more attack might go about it like this. All you think about is yourself.
So what you're saying, if I'm going to reframe that, is you wish that I would be more sensitive to your needs as well as my own.
Correct. Okay. So by reframing what I have said, reframing that attack, Tracy has put us back in line for looking at this from a problem-solving point of view and in a respectful point of view. Now there's still one more skill. Even if we've done all these things, we can still go a little bit further, and we could begin to use the next skill that we've pulled out of our toolbox, and that is the skill of validating. So Tracy, you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, if I'm going to validate Tom's feelings and what he's experiencing, I'm taking what I'm experiencing out of the picture for the moment and focusing on what Tom needs. And so I might say something to him like, so Tom, what I've learned from listening to your point of view is that this trip is really important to you, and that you want to take this time away and just the two of us go somewhere together.
Yes.
And that maybe you were really excited about presenting this to me, and
Yeah.
I kind of put a wrench in that a little bit by
Yeah.
not being excited.
That's true.
So, yeah, okay. And so you wanting to do this was your way of showing that you wanted to spend time with me and appreciate our relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And you would like it if I would do the same. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
So these skills, again, they might look a little different or unnatural, I guess is the word to use with it. But believe me, they are powerful if you can do that. If you can't, if you find reframing too difficult at this point, go back to restating with it. You can also take a statement that the other person has said and later on write it out and then say, how could I reframe that? And then come back to the person and say, could we go back and talk about this again and use the reframed sentence that they've used.
And that is a key thing, is that you can go back again and try it again. You know, it's always an open discussion. It doesn't have to end just because it stopped at one point.
I think this also invites kind of environment for talking, because we haven't really surfaced Tracy's feelings about this. She has been careful with you, but because she has created an environment where you're willing to listen, and she's validated, and she's been curious, and she's restated, and she thinks she understands your motivations and what's going on, you're part of this conversation. She may still have some misgivings about this, but because she's established this environment, she could, perhaps she's just surprised, but perhaps she's also thinking, well, I would have liked to have been part of the preparation, because that's part of the excitement of the trip, or I'm worried about the money, or what's happening with the kids, or maybe it's not the best date for me, and I wish that you had brought me into the planning.
Sure. Especially if Tracy has a personality that likes to think things through ahead of time and be prepared, to be in control of what's going on in your environment. A sudden surprise like that may not come across in the same way that I was trying to make it.
Right. And I think we've all been in situations where someone does something nice for you. We know it's from their heart. We know it's nice and kind and good-natured, but something feels funny inside of us, and we think, ugh, okay, how do you respectfully say, I appreciate what you did, and I'm feeling really uncomfortable and anxious about what you did?
Yeah.
But if you don't escalate first, then you can continue to have that conversation. You can say, wow, this is really great. This is how I'm feeling about it. And then invite the other person to give back to you what you've just modeled for them. you could invite them to listen to you. You could invite them to be curious about what you feel. You could invite them to restate what you have said and to take out any toxic statements
So
and to
not only-
appreciate it.
I'm sorry, it not only provides a model, but as you say, it sets the stage for that. If I'm feeling more comfortable hearing this being reflected back to me and everything, I'm more likely to be able to hear something that I wasn't quite ready for. But if I've been attacked back, then no way.
I'm done. You know what?
Done. You
Forget
stop
it.
the conversation.
I'll, we don't have to do it.
We don't have to go, right.
Instead of
Right.
kind of getting to a deeper understanding of,
And what that leads to then is maybe some problem solving, maybe some brainstorming about things that could make me more comfortable about going and how we could go and have a nice time as opposed to me feeling anxious and et cetera.
Exactly. This is
and
going
your
to be,
needs can get met as well as your needs, but
Right.
not if we don't honor the protocol of how to be civil and mindful with each other.
and these are just indications of the initial stages of this conversation. In further shows, we will be showing what you were talking about before. How do I respond this in terms of showing what I want now in a respectful way? We'll get into things like the I message and so forth at another show. So we do have some time here. We have been talking about relationships with partners. What about if we were to show some of these, say with a teenage
Oh my
daughter
gosh,
or son?
yeah. I
It
have
could be,
plenty of examples for that. I know that I've had conversations with my son, who doesn't live at home anymore, but about things he thought that he was entitled to do and wanted to do that I thought were dangerous or inappropriate. And we've come around to using these skills, but maybe we could apply an example of that.
okay. All right.
For instance, let's say child wants to go to the after prom party, which could be something that a parent wasn't really pleased of or wanted to know about. What do you
Okay.
think?
Sounds good. So Tracy will play my mother then.
Okay.
I'll play the teenager.
Okay.
Why don't you bring your stool up here a little
I
bit
will
more?
do that.
And so if I understand what you're saying then, Marcia,
Not coming home after prom, going
Right.
to some other place.
and I'm just letting Mom know about it, or perhaps being nice
Telling
enough
her.
to ask her.
Maybe not, maybe
The
you're just
teenager will be
announcing it,
telling.
yeah.
Right.
This is what's happening, Mom.
So-
And I could start by just asking about prom coming up.
That's right. So
Yeah.
you're showing these skills of, first of all, respecting a point of view, which may be very difficult for an adult to understand an adult's point, or a teenager to understand an adult's point of view. Listening, being curious, restating, perhaps reframing if I become, start attacking, and then validating me
Okay.
with this.
Okay.
So here we go.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this. Mom,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that after the prom,
This weekend?
yeah,
Yeah?
right. Steve says that he can drive over to Jerry's house, and there's going to be a kind of a get-together with my friends and everything. Really cool. So I just want to let you know that I'm planning to go there after school.
Okay.
I mean, after the prom.
After the prom.
Yeah.
So what? That's going to be really late at night, right?
Yeah, but oh, come on, Mom. I'm 17 years old now.
Okay. So all right. So you're thinking that that's a safe thing to do. I'm not so sure about that, but you're thinking that's safe.
Sure.
Okay.
What's the problem?
And who's driving?
Steve's going to drive.
Okay. Okay. And Steve is a good. I don't
Well, he's
know
got his
Steve
license.
very well.
Yeah, he's got his license. He's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. Could I meet him maybe?
Jeez, Mom. You know,
Well, I don't know him.
are
and
you
you're gonna be
interviewing
with
my
him and
friends
driving-
now?
Well, not exactly. Is that making you feel odd if I did something like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of weird.
Okay. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit though, and let's talk. So we don't have to do this right now, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about Steve before the time comes, just so
Okay.
you can tell me a little bit about him. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And maybe
okay.
about his parents and just a little bit, so I know
Yeah.
a little more.
His parents are divorced, yeah.
Okay. And so, so that would be good. So if you can share that with me at some point
Okay.
before the prom, that would be really helpful for
All
me.
right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're going to go, and then what's going to happen there?
We're just going to hang out,
Okay.
you know. We'll probably listen to music and stuff like that.
Okay. And do you have a time? Are parents going to be there?
I don't know. I didn't ask him,
Okay. Do you think that that's something we could ask?
I guess.
Okay. So
Yeah.
but do you think it's a safe thing for you to just go and not know those things?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty cool.
So you're feeling really independent right now, and that you don't really
Yeah.
need
I
to
mean, what's
check
the problem?
on any of these
Yeah.
things.
I
Okay.
mean, I'm out of high school, you know? I'm ready for
Not
college.
quite, but yeah. Yeah, okay. But that's where you're going. You're feeling really independent and thinking that this is an okay idea without checking.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would like you to check, and we can talk about those things also.
Okay.
So
Does that
I'm
work
going
for
to
you?
say, because we are almost out of time,
Yes.
that this actually leads nicely into something I think we want to talk about in the future, and it's about the I message.
Yes.
Because we could continue, parent could say, well, this is how I feel about this, and then teenager could say, well, this is how I feel and why it's important, and that might be something that we talk about in the future.
Yes.
But we are trying to wrap this point of view, listening, be curious, restate, reframe, and validate episode.
Right. Okay, so we have come almost to the end of our session today, or our show today, and we have a challenge for you, the viewer. And that is, how could you restate this thought? If your friend said to you, sometimes I actually wonder what I saw in him in the first place. We just don't seem to have that much in common anymore. How would you restate that? And another challenge we have for you is, which one of these skills, listening, being curious, restate, reframing, or validating, would you like to try this week with one of your relationships? Thank you for joining us in the pursuit of positive relationships. See you next time.